Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater is around the corner, and there's plenty to be excited about from the graphics, the gameplay, and features that have already been confirmed are looking really good, and it has the community excited. And today we're going to dive into the whole series, but I wanted to take you through a journey that's very personal, and what it might do is help you see the series in a new and different way like you never have before. The Metal Gear Solid series is very special because it innovated a lot of things from storytelling, cinematics, gameplay, features, and more. And with all of that, there's another layer that I'm going to peel back today and get into when it comes to the series, plus give you my personal journey, which might also help you appreciate the series in a new way. Just to be clear, this is going to spoil the whole series. I'm not going to be holding back for anybody that's new and you don't want to know anything about the series. Please come back later. Watch this after you've enjoyed every single game because I will be touching on all of it. And I wanted to kind of take us through a little bit of memory lane. First of all, welcome to Metal Gear Explained. This channel here is made to help you love the series as much as I do, but also understand it as simply as possible without any complex, convoluted aspects. Today, I have too much to say and won't be able to put it all in one video. So we might be having a series of these where we unload different things. We also like to announce we want to get our channel partnered with YouTube. So making sure you're watching and getting our watch time up and subscriptions can be appreciated if we earn that from you. Now, to talk about the series, I want to talk about a couple of things to get out the way very early. The game was published by Konami, and the writer and director was Hideo Kojima. This is important to note because there's a lot of features, a lot of different things that were credited to one person or the other. But the truth is, I've done the homework and researched how impactful was each side, and both of them had a big role in a lot of the things that we love. There have been times where Konami staff came up with great ideas and they developed a lot of the core essence of the game, while Kojima is the heart of the game and he is the blood that flows through the games. And we'll get into his imprint because that is my most important part of this series, and then also a big part of why I think you'll love it a little bit more. Even if you're a hardcore fan or somebody new, it should be a lot to take away from this. Now, I am trying to be careful about talking about Kojima. I don't want to make it like if he's perfect, but what he has done for me is beyond gaming, and he's touched my life in a positive way that there's not a lot of creators, writers, directors, actors, or any of those that offered what he gave to me. And he taught me that there's messages in everything. He taught me that whatever you're consuming will have a good or bad message, and you're taking it in. So whether it's music, a video game, movies, conversations with others, all of it has a purpose. And you can make of it what you will. You can look at it in the negative, or you can take it as a new thing to grow from. And there's a lot of pain and suffering in life, and it's a part of our growth. And we have to accept that part. and then grow and be better. And that is the power of this series, because there was so many moments throughout the 30 plus years that really touched my heart, brought me to tears, inspired me, made me sad, made me accept my suffering, made me want to be a better human. And I'm grateful because that was the design. That was the true purpose of putting you through each game that had its own experience. It had its own message. It had its own theme. All of those things were tied together within the gameplay. The gameplay was a message. The story was a part of that message. And this is where the beginning of this conversation takes place. And so I ask anybody watching to take the time and replay the series after watching this video, and then come back to the video if you can and share the moments that you had. Because I will be doing that now. And I'm hoping to open up my thoughts, my feelings, and get so real like I've never have on any video. And I hope you feel it. And I hope you see it. Because there's so many sacrifices, so many powerful things that are basically mirrors to our very own life. Whether it's trying to save someone, whether it's being betrayed, whether it's making a new friend, surviving something horrible. The storylines really touch deep, and they put you through the fire. And if you mirror that to your own life, this game will inspire you like nothing has, because that's what it did for me. And as we see here, Snake Eater, aka the boss, and everything she meant to us, and all of the sacrifices we've done before that, and everything that we know that comes after. It is never gonna be the same. War not only changes, life does. And this is the reason why I absolutely love the series. See Paz, who's a young kid, supposedly, and then we find out she's older. The manipulation of life through Eva being our mother, to Snake Eater betraying the boss. And before we get into the actual breakdown, this is literally just the intro, guys. I want to showcase something, and I want to talk about it. I hope it's going to help you see how I feel as we go. So what you're going to see right now is my explanation of what my logo means and what the series means. Ouroboros is a symbol of eternal life, of things repeating itself, history repeating itself, of the struggle that we go through in our lives. The snake eating its own tail. Snake Eater. And my logo is a representation of that, where you have the Metal Gear head and created this tail to showcase it's eating its own tail as well, just like the Ouroboros. And this is important to understand before we get into the series, because everything revolves around this eternal cycle, whether it's the themes and messages about war and how this game has always been about the anti-war, or if we talk about the powerful betrayal of the boss, who ends up not betraying you, but saving you and saving everybody else from nuclear war. Her sacrifice, probably the most powerful prophetic in the series because of the symbolism of Snake Eater, the words, and my logo as a tribute is an example of that. And as you play Snake Eater, guys, this is the 5th installment of the series, but it's actually the chronological order is this game was the very first mission that we see Big Boss take. And the truth is that it is a rough mission. But the main premise of what we want to talk about is how this is the 5th installment and we played as Solid Snake, taking out Venom Snake, Big Boss, Liquid Snake, and then in part 2, Raiden takes out Solidus Snake. Snakes eating snakes. And then we lead up to part 5, aka part 3, Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater. And we have to repeat taking out the Cobra unit as Naked Snake. And it's a powerful experience in many ways. And visually, so beautifully well put together. But you think about everything that happens in this game, even the Sorrow, who we just saw, she had to take her own husband out, father of her kid. And these type of things are just outrageous and small details that show you how powerful the series is. And there's a lot of deep conversation right in this small dialogue where she says he's still a baby, basically. He doesn't know better. He's not ready. And this is important because she's basically telling you she doesn't want to hurt you, but she has to. And she saves you here. But the truth is, when you first play it, you're heartbroken. And then when you find out that she was doing this to save you, how much more heartbreak is it? Sometimes you have to do these things that you might not want to in life, that crush you, but are the right thing to do for yourself and for others. And that sacrifice is necessary. So I challenge anyone and everyone to think about it and to take action in life. And this happens here. One of the most iconic is the bandana. This is the first time we see how that all happened, how he got her a bandana. And the fact that he held on to it even while drowning in this water, I mean, wow. But this, to me, just the opening of Snake Eater, guys. This is literally the first couple minutes. And you can't believe it, but it is what it is. And so I say this to open a door about how the series took us so far. All right, 20 years later, this game releases and it has a message about snake eating its own tail. And then it puts you through surviving all of it. And this is where the survival mechanics are a big deal. And we'll get into a lot of this series. I don't want to go through everything because we're not covering one game today, guys. We're going to be going through the process of just discussing parts of the game as we go forward and enjoy the series. One of my favorite that has more to do with making you think and feel is the ladder scene where the music plays and it's Snake Eater. And all you're doing is listening to the music This beautiful, fun music, great. But you have nothing else other than to think. And if you take that time and appreciation, you say, wow, this is putting me through so much. By the time you get to this segment, you've already been through endless amounts of things, more than soldiers go throughout their whole career. And just these little details that have nothing to do with the normal gameplay or the main experience, but add value. Take a second. And this is the power of small details throughout the series that are very special, personally, for me. I wanted to note that just to give you guys something to look at as we continue. And I wanted to talk about one of the most powerful scenes, and I don't know if I should be showing this fully, but I think we're going to. Probably one of the most dynamic in the whole series was this right here, where Big Boss, aka Naked Snake at the time, is getting tortured by Vogan, and he's a ruthless, as we know throughout the game. He's like kind of just a shallow man, and he takes pleasure in doing this, and it's outrageous. But you have all the spies, and you have what the game is really meant to be, an espionage game. And so once he finds this tracker, he knows somebody's been the spy out here. And every single one of them are spies. And every single one of them are double crossing, triple crossing, quadruple crossing everybody. The boss herself, who's the toughest, and everybody's scared of her. And she definitely is the kingpin, but you can see how she doesn't really want to hurt you. She really wants to save you. In the beginning, when you first play this, you don't really know that fully. And it's pretty intense. So I cannot wait to see this in the Delta version, because it's one of my favorite scenes and most powerful, very graphic as well, but I absolutely cannot wait to get my hands on this cutscene. We're going to break it down even deeper that time. But if you look carefully, Eva's there and she's fed up with all this. She's also a spy. She's trying to work with you, but she's playing a different role with them. They don't know what's going on. And it's insane, because you look at Big Boss with the patch and you wonder how he got it. Well, this is it. And now we know why he has a patch. Then, of course, Ocelot, the king of them all. I have videos breaking him down a bit. He is the best, in my opinion, in the whole series. And we watch him grow in this game. But this scene right here, you know, he's a double crosser. He's trying to find out who else is the spies, trying to play his angles, and does it very well, of course. He's very young and new as well. And this is where all the combinations of everything within this game, all the snakes, aka the backstabbers, the double crossers, the spies, all of that come to here to take out the snake's eye. Snake eyes. And there you go. A very powerful thing. And of course, the way this all plays out is incredible, to say the least. And as we go, we get to see Ocelot develop. And it's a very important thing to talk about Ocelot and how he tries to be slick and do all this fancy stuff, but he's actually a rookie. And the reason why this is important is because throughout the series, he's one of the most pivotal villains ever. We see him the first time in MetalGearSolid in the 1990 game, and he's just an old top gunner. And then we see him in part 2, Metal Gear Solid 2. And he's getting taken over by Liquid, and he's even more badass. And then here we get the introduction of his origin story of how he became who he really was. And it was really Snake who shaped him to be Revolver. Because he was Ocelot, but he was not Revolver Ocelot. And the reason why this is important is because you see the development of Ocelot as a character, and then you see him fall in love and support Snake throughout the game. He starts supporting Snake, especially at the very end when you're fighting Bogan. And the reason this is important is because it basically represents the growth of a villain, but also the power of how influential Big Boss is and how dynamic things were in that world of spies and all of that stuff. And like I was saying earlier, Kojima said that Metal Gear wasn't supposed to be named Metal Gear, that it was originally going to be an espionage game and they were going to have a different name for it. And he didn't want to give away the exact name that it was supposed to be, but he wanted it to be a series about the war conflicts, political issues, and espionage. And I would have loved it, but there's nothing wrong with a little Metal Gear, you know? The reason they kept Metal Gear is because that's the main bad guy at the end. That's what they put in the game. You can see right here, this is the lesson where Big Boss teaches Ocelot CQC to the fullest. And this is how he gets better and throughout the years. You're pretty good is the number one saying. So I could just imagine, and I want you to take a picture in your mind of how this game would have been if it wasn't focused on Metal Gears and it was all about this espionage the way it originally came out. It still would have been similar, but if you play it with that in mind, then you'll realize, wow, there's a really big dynamic here. And it's important to kind of step back from those feelings that we go through and look at it like, oh, wow, this series is taking us to the next level when it comes to the overall messages and themes. Anti-war, which is the biggest one. And you see it throughout all of the games, but especially here because, you know, as we go along, we'll end up fighting the one and the only, the boss. And war makes us fight our own loved ones, which is insane. And this was a very touching and powerful moment, and I've always teared up when I watch this, when I play this. And it's more so because of the series and what I explained to you guys about the Snake Eater and the message and how that relates to us in real life. You got to think about how every day we do those type of things, whether it's at our job, whether it's at school, whether it's with friends or family. You know, there's always a battle in some kind of way. It could be a good battle, healthy battle, positive battle, or it can be a bad one. But we go through these different emotions and experiences and stories in our lives. And sometimes we have to make tough decisions. And Big Boss taking out the boss is the hardest one, but she sacrificed it all on purpose. And it was a beautiful, beautiful thing. And playing this for the first time was so unreal. And the reveal of her being the good guy, doing the right thing, is the most devastating thing for me personally, one of the most powerful. And so I start off this video discussing this game and giving you the principle of Snake Eater, so you can think about it as we go along the journey through a couple of different games and dive down the rabbit hole to what they've offered to us. And I do want to touch a little bit on Peace Walker just briefly. You know, Paz doesn't become a dynamic person until Ground Zeroes, and that's when you really see who she is, how she is, and what really goes on. You know, you end up finding out. We're gonna go ahead and find out who she really is and what's really going on, because this poor girl is in her 20s and she was a spy her whole life, tortured, and basically went through endless amounts of sad things, bad things all her life. And I thought, you know, this is a very important thing to think about and to talk about. And so for me, you know, her sacrifice is not right there on par with the boss, but if you play the Phantom Pain, you know how impactful this was. Okay, she changed everything for all of us. Okay, she changed everything. They used her and changed everything. So you lost your base, you lost your soldiers, right? You lost your identity, you lost yourself. You literally lost Big Boss as a player. You lost Big Boss. And we got Venom instead. And Paz was used as the tool for that. Her name is Paz, aka Peace in Spanish. Paz. And is there peace in the anti-war game? And this is a little graphic for those squinty. You might not want to watch this, but in the end of the day, her plot was extremely powerful, and it gets even better in the Phantom Pain, which I'm not going to go through. But basically, in the Phantom Pain, are you delusional? Is she delusional? Was she ever even there? There's a very powerful moment that I would prefer you guys to experience yourself. It makes you question everything in the Phantom Pain. And it's literally, I have a video that I made, I gotta upload it, but it literally is so revolutionary, powerful on its own, and I absolutely love it. And this Paz character somehow delivered. Okay, she was Peace Walker's main character, influential, but Ground Zeroes and the Phantom Pain, she becomes a really powerful force, and she basically shifted the whole series into everything that we know after. And so we got to give her a little credit as far as the way they wrote her character in, and the way they made this whole scenario kind of insane, to be real with you guys. When you think about it. And so for me, you know, hopefully you'll take the time and check out the Phantom Pain video I'll make about Paz, but also understand that this part of the game, the transition, Peace Walker makes you want to start an army. You spend all of Peace Walker building an army because of Snake Eater's scenario, and then you lose it all in the Ground Zeroes, and in the Phantom Pain you're starting over as someone else. And we're not going to go down the rabbit hole for the Phantom Pain, even though we should, but it is too many layers. And I have some videos breaking this down. You can make hundreds of videos just breaking down the Phantom Pain, because there's so many ways to interpret this, and Kojima purposely made it hard to interpret. But there's a lot of conversations about what happened or what didn't happen with Big Boss, and then Venom Snake as the main character throughout this. How did that play out? I played around with an idea and I made some videos about it, where you are made to believe that you're Venom, but really you're Big Boss. and you're just told that you're Venom playing Big Boss. So it's a double mind game. But that's just a fun theory that back before when the game just released concept. But the principle behind that is that throughout this game, it's about the interpretations of what you feel, what you think. Do you feel the Phantom Pain? That's the question. And if you did, from losing your identity, and that's the start. If you didn't, then there's a problem there. If this is your first game, you're going to get the greatest gameplay, but story-wise, it might not make that much sense to somebody like, what? How does this all connect to the series? Well, there's endless loops, and you end up fighting Venom Snake in the first original game that released. And Venom Snake has the best representation of the player. A clean slate, and whatever you choose when you're building your army, when you're out there on those missions, is who Big Boss is. So it's a heavy dynamic, and there's too much to get into when it comes to the Phantom Pain. You know, you have Vogan coming back, you have Quiet, who we just saw, and endless amounts of scenarios, like our buddy here who gives the longest speech in video game history. Should just kill each other, guys. Skullface breaking down his plans, and you gotta love this. This is only a Kojima thing, but this monologue has some of the craziest scenarios in Metal Gear if you really listen to him. And I made a video about this, talking about how words can kill. And this whole monologue talks about that, and how language is so powerful, and it can divide us or bring us together, or it can, you know, start wars and do all types of stuff. And Skullface is a representation of Big Boss. Okay. And people try to make these heroes like they're always good guys, but think about the video games. You're taking out a lot of innocent soldiers. Yes, they might be from another country or something, but the soldier just signed up to help his country. He didn't sign up, you know, for whatever you are on your mission for, taking them out. So it's always an interesting dynamic. You look at a villain like Skullface, who cleaned up all your mess, who was basically babysitting you all this time, and basically knowing that you're a big part of all of this. And you're the reason why all of it is happening. And the reason I say that is because you look at Mantis. He is controlled by whoever's emotions. Most negative emotions will help control Mantis. Mantis is able to control Logan here, who's dead. And so he has power over him. And that's how powerful this kid is. But he is controlled and influenced by other people who want to take him out. So it's a pretty crazy dynamic, but a representation of how Big Boss is so powerful and influential in a bad way, right? You're helping enable nuclear wars. You're helping to enable more wars and create more armies, you know, and everybody's fending for themselves in a way, and it gets out of hand, and people want to always blame the bad guys, right? When someone attacks and they're, oh, he hit me. You see, the teachers tend to see the person punching them in retaliation. They don't see the actual person that hit them first. And that's the same storyline here, where Big Boss hasn't been the hero. He's been pretty rough as well, you know? And the Phantom Pain is a representation of, even though he's not Big Boss, he has to deal with all the Big Boss factors that come into play. And I'm not going to get into the Phantom Pain, but the principle behind it is there's a lot of cool messages in this game. One of the ones that hurt me was the Snake Eater part right here, where you're in the quarantine and you unfortunately have to take out your own soldiers. You literally pick these guys up while you were on missions, 60 hours worth, or whatever amount of hours it took you to get to this part of the game, and you had to stop them from exiting, or if not, they were going to spread the disease, and you had to take out a whole bunch of them in this segment. It's pretty sad, to be honest with you guys. I actually hate it. Then you have things like your son, which you treat cold-bloodedly. And there's just a lot of stuff. And again, I put this in here, but probably shouldn't see that. Our buddy Liquid. But there's so much to get into when it comes to this series. And I just wanted to touch on a couple of things with the Phantom Pain. You know, the conversation I think the community tends to have is like, what was Big Boss doing that was so important? You know, he wasn't there for all this. And the truth is, that's awesome. We became Big Boss, and he got to go do whatever he wanted. And you guys are both a representation. And that was one of the most coolest things, in my opinion, on how they set it up. Which leads us to Solid Snake. We see with these pixelated graphics, which we're not going to go through in detail, but I just wanted you guys to know about this. And here we're playing the two originals where Solid Snake has to fight his own father and Venom Snake, aka Big Boss. And this was a revolutionary game for its mechanics and setup that they had. Better than a lot of other games, new, different, with the stealth style of the game. And a lot of cool little things like these boss fights, you're putting people on fire. It is all spoilers. That's why I'm kind of skipping through it a little bit, guys. But I did want to kind of show you a little bit of Revolver Ocelot, all right? We saw him as a young man, and then this is him as an older person. This is important because he's actually evolved, and now he's really Revolver Ocelot because of you. And you're his son. And you're his son in this game. So that's how much Ocelot has been in the series. He's pretty much been in almost all of the series. And a pivotal role in every single one of them. And I absolutely love it. But the principle with Metal Gear Solid Part 1, there's a lot of small details and sacrifices that happen with these characters, as well as the manipulations that we know and love. But I wanted to take a moment to talk about Mantis and the power of the mechanics of his scenario and some of the story as well. You know, he can read your mind. He can check your memory card. He tells you to swipe the controller, put it on the other one. All this cool stuff. It's never been done before. It's mind-blowing for a mind-bending character. And then when you go to take him out, he looks into your mind. He sees your soul, how dark you are and twisted you are. And it's like, dude, there's no heroes, dude. You're really sick and twisted. And it's kind of like a reality check. Like, we played a video game killing off these soldiers supposedly to save the day, but damn, like, you're going to take out how many men? And I've never kept track of how many men you eliminate in one game, but I know it's a lot. And it's like worse than a serial killer, mass murderer in a 24-hour window. And so it's a reflection of us. Like, look, man, you're not so good yourself. And Kojima put that into the game, kind of reminding us, like, yo, man, gotta get it together, dude. If you're gonna be a hero, be a hero. Don't be so dark. And, you know, Mantis wants his mask so that he can hide away from all of the nonsense and suppress it and to be free, as they say. And this is important because, truthfully, you know, we all have to break free from some of our struggles. And speaking of breaking free, I wanted to showcase another person who was the pioneer of what the boss ends up being. I felt like the wolf was a representation of what the boss ends up becoming. The biggest sacrifice, the most powerful emotional moment. This is a very powerful moment. For me, the after effect of her death is what means the most. Okay. Otacon says to Snake, "What are we fighting for? What was she fighting for?" And it's a reflection about who we are as humans, who we need to be, and how we need to be. And makes you think twice about life. And this is something that changed me as well, because that question is one of the most powerful. What are you fighting for? And that reflection is so cool. And I would recommend for people to get into that. And of course, Otacon's super emotional about it, but I think it's an important thing to kind of remember and to take into account. And I want to kind of showcase the Snake Eater portion of it, where you're fighting your own brother. How dare you take him out? He's one of our fan favorites. Liquid going down into the darkness. Is it really that tall? And man, these graphics, I tell you. But hey, we're gonna get a remake, guys. Don't worry, it's coming. And we're not getting a Twin Snake remake. But yeah, so in the end of the day, this part right here, Marrow or Otacon, whichever one you save, tells you, let's live. It's time to live life. And as a player, that's important, because we're stuck behind screens and we're not living as much. And this game always talked about living the best possible life you can. And I love that. And I thought it's incredible for the series, personally. Now, we're going to get into the whole Solid Snake and our buddy Raiden here, who, as we know, let's just say, isn't always the most understood game the way it should be. I think that, Kojima was speaking about a lot of things, about our society, our mentality, and how we kind of mirror other things and other people, and how the internet has become like our source of living, and it's not really full life, and wondering what's real, as Raiden does when Solid Snake at the end says, "Hey man, just go live. You're real, right? Whatever you experience is real." And it's a powerful tool and a very cool concept, and the way they presented it and all of the good stuff that comes with it, in my opinion. And one of the best parts of this game is the fact that they decided to make Snake a superhero, right? He's getting shown from the outside looking in. We're playing as Raiden and we're checking him out, and we're getting to see him become the legendary soldier, while we are, as Raiden is explaining to Snake in this part, I played 152 million VR missions. I did this, that, I did that. VRs, I'm an expert. I'm trained. I'm ready. And he's considered himself ready, but he's really not. He's not trained in the real world, hands-on. And we see it throughout the game where he's kind of rookied out. And Snake just kind of laughs like, yeah, okay, kid. But, it's a part of the experience to grow as a player, as a person with these games. And then we see Snake explain who this new unit is. He talks about the Fox unit. And then you have these guys who are pretty much a mirror image of that, and how war continues its cycle, aka the snake eating its tail, over and over again. And this is where I personally really love this whole game in those ways. There's a lot of cool things, That's not Solid Snake. Stop copying me. For example, when Solid Snake gets mad at Solidus. And hilarious, but also super cool to kind of talk about that concept. And when you go online and you're just like, we're posting up something you see other people post up. I see something with content creators where they'll make videos depending on the community's take. They're not saying what they really feel. They're just saying whatever's popular just to get those views. And hey, I get it, do you? But I prefer to just be honest. So I might be diverse, basically unpopular opinion, but I prefer to do that than to try to copy somebody. And Solidus ain't copying Solid Snake, man. He was really trying to stop these Patriots, man. He was gonna do it. I believe in him. And he was so badass. One of the most underrated heroes, because he's not a villain, in the Metal Gear series. If we had to rate him, I would have him pretty high. Unfortunately, he didn't get the time or energy that he deserved. He deserved to be in multiple games. That's all I'm gonna say. Just look at his outfit, bro. His suit alone is crazy. This dude was amazing. Shout out to Raiden for fighting him. But yeah, even Raiden having to deal with this father figure, because that's who he was to him. And you find out everything is pretty much a copy paste of Solid Snake fighting Big Boss, or Big Boss fighting the boss. All of those things are true and the same thing at this, which is absolutely insane. One of the cool things here is the betrayal of Raiden, which also, as you know, is kind of telling of what comes in the future with the boss. And this leads up to the grand finale. There's a lot of cool stuff here where Ocelot reveals to Fortune that, guess what? You're not all powerful, lady. And he basically shuts her down and lets her know he has the power. He took hers away. It's all technology. You're not that lucky. You're not some super powered person. This is all technology based. And then she gets basically annihilated. But the concept that what's real or what's not. And again, as I told you guys, live life. And this game kind of touches on that in many ways. And you make what's real. It's something that's a powerful tool in this game that I absolutely loved the most. And now, talking about what's real, you go through Metal Gear Solid 4, you deal with these AI, aka chat GBTs, these bots all over the place, artificial intelligence. Everybody want to boycott them nowadays, but Solid Snake had to figure a way around it. And you got the one and the only King Hacker willing to showcase how to do it. Not an actual hero and not a villain. He was just a manipulator. But I like Drebbit because there was multiple copies of him, and he's kind of just like the hustler, and that's what we do on our daily lives, right? I make content and I want my YouTube to be, if it can get ginormous, that'd be great. And then I can just make better content and actually focus on it fully as a full-time job with Metal Gear. And you guys can do that. If you're watching this, that means you need to like, comment, share this. You're still here. I appreciate you. But the principle is, this man was out for the hustle in a world that is the war economy base. And unfortunately, part 4 touched on real life things. At this time when this game came out, the war economy was more than ever exposed, and we got to see that, yes, that the wars that these people are in are doing it for profit. They're not even caring about the war. So when America goes and jumps into these wars, it's more about how can we profit off of it, which is insane. And then it's also a reminder of how programmed we are as people. Johnny is a weak link, but he's actually the realist because he don't have any nano machines. He's not controlled and manipulated like Meryl or the rest of her team. And They're not controlled by society, not controlled by social media, not controlled by money, and there only is Johnny. Even Solid Snake is controlled by the nanomachines compared to Johnny, where he's pure natural, homegrown, real soldier. And he saves the day multiple times. He's one of the heroes of the game, in my opinion, for part 4, even though he poops his pants. Super amazing example of like somebody staying away. And I recommend that for all of us. Unplug from the Matrix, folks. And this game really was touching on that and really opening the eyes about society and our day-to-day lives, and doing it in a way which was kind of controversial because he's saying the series is old, aka Old Snake. He's saying, oh, we're doing it all for money, right? We're gonna make another Metal Gear. Okay, war economy, real life war economy, real life players getting stuck in this cycle. And so many commentaries in this game. I mean, I could write 10 books off of this game because the flashbacks and everything all connected is insane, guys. But the principle here is there's layers to this series, and part 4 really does a beautiful job to give us what we know and love. And Niobe, one of the ones that we've hated in part 1, where she betrayed us, she ends up becoming a pivotal role in here, saving us multiple times, and then also basically saving the world to a certain extent with all her trickery. And who would have thought she was that good, right? And who would have thought she was this cute? But I absolutely love Naomi in this series, how she breaks down how everything went with the Philosopher's Legacy, the Patriots, the systems, everything that we know, and then also plays a role on the ground level as well with all of the stuff that was happening to her or for her, especially with our buddy here, Venom, who doesn't die. And they had their own really deep story of why and how these people survive these things. So I absolutely loved part 4 for many reasons. And I know a lot of people might have their own opinions, but it did a lot of great things. And one of them was this flashback of how the series came to be and how everything is all connected, even the misinterpretations of who we are, how we are, and what we do coming back to bite us. For example, Eva. We thought we were clones, and when really we were created just like a normal kid, born, not freaking created the way we thought. And so I love that, and I think that there's a lot of, fan service in this game. But that's not always a bad thing, all right? Get over it. I think it's a beautiful thing for a 30-plus-year-old series to give you a very cool flashback of the good times. And speaking of good times, Ocelot at his peak and dominating. He literally saves the world. All right? The ultimate sacrifice is Ocelot. He wanted to destroy the Patriots. He helped do it. He helped hack into the Patriots. He helped everything. And he is the king, in my opinion. Then, of course, we got the Metal Gear Ray versus Rex, which was so cool. This should have been his own game. Let me just get a bunch of Metal Gears fighting each other, guys. But I absolutely loved it. And it's just another example of a snake eating a snake, right? Different games from the Metal Gear series. And I want to kind of touch on this before we get into the closure here. Ocelot really did save the world. Or was it Liquid Ocelot? Or was it Revolver Ocelot? You tell me. A lot of special messages in this fight. And you get to see all the personalities come out of Ocelot and Liquid. from the music changing, different fighting styles, all of it. And I want you to go back and check it out for yourself. Okay. And now I'm going to dive into a couple of things of the series that we know and love, kind of take you down that rabbit hole as we proceed to give you what you need. So, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate y'all watching. I just wanted to share a lot of little things that I loved about the series that might have never been talked about. And we'll go down the rabbit hole again, take you through a journey of my feelings, my thoughts, the series. There's too much to get into. I do want to cover every game, but I would have to go down and hire an editor. But I definitely will do that. We can get this channel to blow up. I'll go and dedicate my life to it. We're gonna make it fun and make it interesting. But yeah, the series is gonna continue because they have a remake and hopefully a lot more news is coming before the end of the year, and then next year, 2025, the release of the game. It doesn't come out this year. So I want you guys to share your favorite moment within this video, something I talked about, and your favorite moment, to let me know that you were listening throughout and that you enjoyed it. And I'm grateful to have you. Hope you come back for more. If you got the time, and just put on a playlist and watch it, or just let it play. I need watch time and I need subs so that I could monetize this and then grow this channel to the maximum. And your time and your energy is extremely appreciated. So thank you so much. And I hope you go and replay one of these games, because that's the point of this video, is to get you excited to look at some of these games again, see it from a different light. Hope you enjoyed. Take care. Stay blessed. By the way, I do have 2 other channels that are also doing very well. Go check them out in the description. We appreciate you. Peace.